Welcome to Young Turks. We're with Representative Jan Schakowsky from the 9th District of Illinois. I do at some point want to talk about Illinois politics with you a little bit about this the Senate race there.
Oh,
but
nothing's happening.
Nothing, nothing is happening in Illinois.
It's
It's crazy. I mean, it's so funny when we're doing it now. It turns out, so we'll just do it briefly.
Right.
But Kirk, with making up these things about his military record, after the Republicans were fuming about what was going on with Blumenthal in Connecticut for doing essentially the same thing, but a minor, in a much more minor way. Every time they criticize the other party, the Republicans criticize the other party, it just winds up hurting them even more.
Well, Kirk explained it by saying that he simply misremembered it wrong. I guess that can happen.
It's great. No, it does happen.
People. Yeah, and the thing that's so inexplicable about it is that he has a pretty good record. Why would he decide to give himself the Intelligence Officer of the Year award?
Well, it's great. If I had that power, I would do it too. I would give myself that award. I wouldn't have given it to Kirk, but I would have given it
to yourself.
Apparently he had the power to do it, so he did. Well, good for him. Well, it's an exciting. Today's a big election day, also around the country between Arkansas and California, and so we've been talking about that quite a bit as well. What is the feeling in your caucus, and I'm not just talking about the Democratic caucus, I'm talking about the CPC, about challenging, as is happening in Arkansas, challenging a senator, as is happening in a few districts, or a number of districts, congressional districts. I know my own, Jane Harmon's my representative, and someone's challenging her, about challenging from within the party. It's hurt the other side of the party. I'm ambivalent about it because sometimes I just want to so badly, and then sometimes I think, is it better to hang on to what we've got?
Well, the spirit of challenge, of course, is happening in both parties.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot of peril for long-term Republicans from the Tea Partiers, and but there is an anti-incumbent feeling, I think, all around, and there is unrest among the voters who want to see. The irony, in a way, is that this has been the most productive session of Congress in recent history. Really, we have done so much. So we've been pretty bad salespeople, I think, about what has happened. But I think that the fact that no seat is viewed as safe anymore, that you kind of have to earn it every time,
right, is
not a bad thing for our democracy.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing for our democracy. It makes fundraising a much more important thing, though, for incumbents as well, though. So again, it's that's what frustrates me. Of course, it's a great thing for democracy. I agree 100%. But again, you as a sitting representative in the House of Representatives have to go out and raise money.
We do have to raise money, and that sort of gets to, I think, a fundamental issue of campaign finance reform and how we do that, and because it does mean that people go out and raise money from those who can give it,
Exactly.
And this is also a campaign season that now is clouded by the Citizens United decision of the Supreme Court that allows these corporations, just as individuals, to or PACs, to go on television, make up a name of some organization that sounds real authentic and do-goodery, and then excoriate their opponents. So you can have energy companies going on, and
we're seeing in California. I mean, it's happening everywhere. And California is in a crazy election cycle right now, where you have two big primaries going on, one for Senate, one for governor. Right. But even down at the assembly level, they're doing that. They're taking advantage. It's not a federal law there, but it's a state law. It just seems like campaign finance reform has to happen again in some way. I mean, that ruling that the Supreme Court handed down was infuriating to so many people.
You know where it may really be dangerous? Some believe that the real purpose was to influence judicial elections for the right wing and the corporate elites to take over the judiciary in state after state. Someone votes for environmental regulation or rules on environmental regulation on the Supreme Court. Right. Let's get rid of them next election. We'll spend unlimited amounts of money just to get rid of that judge and that justice.
That makes a lot of sense. And it seems like it's something that appeals to both sides. So it would be there is appeal on the right for campaign finance reform to a degree as well, because of I mean, the fact that it was something that was started in a bipartisan way means that it could be continued in that way to me. I mean, to a layperson about it. And I don't see why it can't come up again, although we have financial reform, we have health care, we have so many other things. It just seems like it's something that would make
we
people
do have
happy.
legislation.
As part of your PR, that if they see something that makes everybody happy and takes
we
money
do
out.
have the Disclose Act that at least would force these corporations to name themselves if they're spending money on TV ads.
Absolutely, and I
ads,
think that's so important. That transparency is so important. Okay, let's get to another issue. Right, we were talking. You were in a conference just now, in a talk about deficit reform, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
Yeah,
I'm a member of the President's Commission on Fiscal Responsibility and Reform, the Debt Commission. Some people call it.
And tell us about that, what the progress is, and what sort of progress we're getting on oversight of spending, especially military spending.
Well, it's not just about spending, of course. It's how are we going to reduce the deficit? There's a number of ways. I think it's a three-legged stool. One is to do something about spending, and clearly military spending has to be on the table. Do you know the Pentagon is one of the only agencies that cannot pass an audit? I mean, there's in so many ways we need to look at that defense budget. And we do have some support from conservative Republicans like Senator Coburn on our commission, our 18-member 18-member commission.
He's funny. You like him every once in a while.
Every once in a while,
and he's a smart guy and he's pretty well prepared. But then he's nuts sometimes. But I mean, and you don't have to agree with that. But I say that.
I'm going to look for support and work with him on military spending. But then it's spending. But then there's also revenue, and then there's also growth. And by that I mean, are we going to spend money to put people back to work? That's the best way that we can really increase revenues that are going to come in, people paying taxes. But you have to spend money to make money. Yeah. And right now, what I fear is that there's such a deficit mania going on that making the necessary expenditures to actually put people back to work, to put money into the states that are going to have to lay off people, to avoid the layoff of some 600,000 teachers in our country, to make investments that are going to guarantee our economic security in the future. Most economists are saying this is no time to cut spending, but even by the existence of this commission right now is contributing to an atmosphere that, the biggest problem we're facing right now is that deficit. That is not true. Yeah. If you have to choose between jobs and deficit reduction right now or debt reduction, pick jobs if you want to stabilize the economy.
Yeah. And talking about that, I have a couple of questions. The President's Commission, is there a deadline to it? What is that deadline?
November. It's going to, but I mean the 1st of December. It's going to be after the election, which I think is a good thing.
I think it's a great thing.
So it doesn't get caught up, and because what, people otherwise are going to compete. Oh, we're going to cut this and we're going to cut that. Yeah. I mean the atmosphere is very bad for a pre-election announcement of the plan. Now,
I think it's so smart to hear that. I think as a watcher, it's always refreshing to see things that are done without the election being a concern. So to sort of after the election is such a terrific thing to hear.
Yeah, it's still going to be hard, I think, to take politics out of this this commission. And I think it's going to be very hard of 18 members to come up with 14 who agree on a plan. Now, that's not to say that we won't come up with some ideas that are good ones that the President and the administration and the Congress can use after that. But I think it will be hard. I'm not going to say rule it out altogether, but if there are members on there who don't want to raise any revenue, who have taken revenue off the table, then I think that we're not going to be able to come to a consensus.
Understood. And the other question I had to what you were talking about is the teacher layoffs. How does what you're talking about and what this commission is talking about jive with what Arne Duncan and the Department of Education are doing with Race to the Top and sort of challenging the teachers' unions to change their ways as well?
I think those are really two separate questions. That program is funded, and I think I know Arnie from the
from
city
Illinois,
of Chicago. Yeah. He was the superintendent of schools. I think he has lots of good ideas, and creating this sense of reaching for excellence in our schools is a good one. I think they're and he always got along, by the way, with the teachers union.
And he seems to still be getting along with the teachers union. I think they're just a little wary of what this means and what the changes that are coming in.
But ultimately, if we're going to have enough teachers and not have to raise class size and watch the quality decline, we're going to have to spend the money.
Yeah.
And I think that the fact that right now we've cut what's called FMAP. This is money, a lot of money, to go to the states to help them pay for health care in this case. It would be Medicaid. But money is fungible in state budgets.
Right.
And so
in terms of the fact it can be redirected or it can be...
Well, it means that if they have enough money for their Medicaid programs, then they'll be able to use other money to not have to lay off teachers and not do other essential programs. But, when we talk about the crippling deficit for our grandchildren, a lot of talk in the commission about grandchildren. What are we going to leave them with? But, we may free them of debt, but they could also be sick and uneducated and unemployed, and that's not a good thing.
No, it's not. Yeah,
we need to make
because then they're just going to borrow to pay for those things, and they're not going to be free of debt.
And the United States could end up like a third world country if we don't invest. Look, the United States of America can be leaders in innovation. That's always been our trump card, that we have been able to come up with the innovations that drive the entrepreneurship that puts us in first place. But again, it takes the kinds of investments, like in clean energy. Are we going to have to buy that now that we've invented it from the Chinese? I hope not.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it's a great idea to do that. Anyway, Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us on the Young Turks.
All right, we'd love
to have you. Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks.